United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio touched down in Jamaica to the warm welcome of our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Camilla Johnson Smith. And she's such a lady. She's so dignified. And the poise and elegance was not missed as she welcomed the Secretary of State and his team to our lovely island home, Jamaica. Now, front and center to this visit was the situation that was being noised abroad, where Rubio indicated that the potential of government leaders having their US visas revoked, along with those of their family, caught everybody's mind. As a matter of fact, I think when the United States plane touched down at the Norman Manley International Airport, Marco Rubio could have said from the steps, "We're not revoking visas," and everybody would have given him a round of applause, and it would have been the end of a very successful visit. But you and I know that is not the way politics goes and grows. So it was a matter of diplomatic um, encounters, press conference, and all in all, the general Jamaican hospitality that I know when he departs our friendly shores, those moments will sit with him for a long, long time. In the press conference that was open to all of us to have a recap of what that engagement with Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, we were able to get the main topics, the main areas of concern that were up for discussion. And one of the points that Prime Minister Holness mentioned was the significant decrease in the crime overall in Jamaica, but specifically crime to visitors. And I was thinking, yes, it's less than 1%, but funny when the Prime Minister said it was less than 0.2%, somewhere there. So it's almost negligible. And I have said it before, I will say it again, and the typical Jamaican will agree with me. When a Jamaican sees or encounters a tourist, a foreigner, a visitor, and this doesn't matter whether they are black, white, Indian, if they're foreigners, if they came to our island home to vacation, they're treated with the utmost care. I would even go as far to say if someone whose intention was less than savory saw another person attempting to harass a tourist or to do them harm, that individual is the one who would quickly shout out, "Loud the foreigner them, loud the tourist them, wanna go on with, make them go on through," and they would be the ones to usher them and make sure that they are well. Because you see, Jamaicans understand, respect, and have regard for our tourist industry. We all don't have to work in tourism to work with tourism. And that is something that, upon arriving in our island, I am sure Rubio saw firsthand. And so the conversation went towards the travel bans and the wording, because your words have power. And our Prime Minister indicated that there needs to be an adjustment, there needs to be a rethinking, there needs to be a repositioning of how travel advisories are put out in the space, particularly for American travelers. And it was very heartening to hear that this was a concerned that the US has taken serious situation, serious account of, and that amendments would be made because, as Rubio stated clearly, there has been a major improvement in crime against tourists, in crime in Jamaica, the United States government, and of course, the entities that be have seen and experienced and have noted that. And so that commitment is in place. Of course, it's always good to hear the social commentary. And as I listened this morning to Mrs. Kitty and Dennis on CVM at sunrise, they said, let us wait, let us see, because mouth could cross way, mouth make fit talk. But let us see if and when these commitments that were verbally uttered will take effect, and we will see a gentler wording that would encourage the smoother flow of travelers from the US to vacation in Jamaica. I know that you have come to hear exactly what was said about the turnaround in perspective on the potential revocation of US visas for members or heads of state and leaders of governments within the Caribbean if they continue the medical mission that includes healthcare practitioners from our island neighbor of Cuba. Listen to this wonderfully worded question and an equally interesting response.
Our next question will come from Tana Thomas from Nationwide News Network. Please stand.
Thank you. Secretary Rubio, my question is, or questions, in relation to the matter of the Cuba Medical Corporation program as well. So the medical mission has been a cornerstone of healthcare in Jamaica and the Caribbean for over 50 years, according to our foreign minister. How does the U.S. reconcile its stance on this program with the region's reliance on Cuban medical professionals, and what alternatives does it propose to ensure healthcare stability?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to separate medical from the labor issues that we are pointing to. Okay, this is not about doctors. Okay, this is not about the provision of medical assistance. We have no problem with medical assistance. We have no problem with doctors. We have a problem, and I'm not speaking about Jamaica. We've discussed this today about, following international labor standards and the like, but I'm just talking about this program in general, how it's operated around the world. And how it's operated around the world is that basically the doctors are not paid. In many other parts of the world, the doctors are not paid. You pay the Cuban government. The Cuban government decides how much of anything to give them. They take away their passports. They basically operate as forced labor in many places. Now, there are places that have better labor standards. Perhaps Jamaica is one of those, and that's fine. But I'm describing generally what the program has been. It has operated in that way in many parts of the world and placed these people in tremendous danger. And so I think we can all agree that the trafficking in labor, be they doctors or farm workers, is not something that we would want to be supportive of, and we find that to be an egregious practice on the part of the Cuban regime. Now, every country operates their program differently. And obviously, because of our relationship with Jamaica, we're going to engage with them on that and talk about it further and have a better understanding. Perhaps none of this applies in the way it's handled here. But generally, that's the problem with the program. It's not that they're Cuban doctors. It's that the regime does not pay these doctors, takes away their passports, and basically it is, in many ways, forced labor. And that we cannot be in support of. Again, not speaking about here in particular, but in general about the program.
So there you have it. As was stated, as politically correct as was possible. Jamaica good as. We think still good. We're righteous. We not thief nobody them work time. We not walk out nobody without give them no pay. We're good. We are not among the other countries who seek to take advantage of the skills of the medical teams that come here for varying stints. And so this matter has been aerated, and there has been peace, sighs of relief that they have all slid out of the consciousness of the Caribbean leadership. But there was another question that came in for sharp focus, and I don't want us to go away without listening to that bit as it relates to green card holders, permanent residents who are now in a quandary as to whether leaving the US and coming to visit Jamaica, to travel, to do what is normally permissible under the green card holders' ability, gives them the ability to work, live, and travel. Are any of those rights and freedoms being curtailed? The response says no.
The first point I would say, let me talk about that. If you're a green card holder, you're not illegally in the United States. If you're a green card holder, you are legally in the United States. What the president has said, and I don't know how anybody can disagree with this, every country in the world has immigration laws. And immigration laws, if you don't enforce them, you don't have immigration laws. Over the last few years, we've had, 13, 14, 15 million people enter the United States unlawfully and irregularly. No country in the world can assume that. By the way, that's not unique to us, right? Even here in Jamaica, you've faced challenges of migration. And it's not that we don't sympathize with people that are leaving difficult circumstances. It's that no society can absorb mass migration from anywhere in the world. You just can't do it. And we're facing that challenge. That's not specific to Jamaica. I'm just speaking in general. And so the president is doing something that, frankly, hasn't been done in a long time. He's enforcing our immigration laws. And that's what we're doing. So if you're a green card holder, you're not illegally in the United States. I think the challenge is for those who are illegally in the United States, we have to have immigration laws. They have to be followed. I mean, I don't know why that's an unreasonable demand. And frankly, I mean, Jamaica is not a major source of illegal migration, to be frank. It's not even in the top 10 or top 20, for that matter, I don't think. But that said, we are enforcing our immigration laws, because here's what happens if you don't. You'll get another 12 million people. And if tomorrow Jamaica announced anybody who wants to come can come in, you're going to get a lot of people too, and it's going to be very disruptive. So we need to have immigration laws, and we need to enforce them, and that's what we are. That's what the president is doing. That's what he promised voters he would do, and that's what we're going to continue to do. But
all in all, it was a very productive meeting from what we see on the outside. Our Prime Minister, who I will continue to say is a strategist, he answered the question that I asked in our video. Should the Prime Minister respond to what was being circulated in the public domain? Should he get on his own podium and make a response? And in true Andrew Holness style, he went one better. He invited Marco Rubio, who uttered the statements, to stand on our plot of ground here on Jamaica land we love, and to defend his statement. Because you see, every man deserves the right to express what is meant by what has been said. And so kudos to Prime Minister, kudos to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, kudos to Team Jamaica. We shine bright. We'll continue to shine bright. And it was very interesting to hear the continued response that the United States of America understands and values the role that Jamaica plays in our bilateral usefulness. So this is a symbiotic relationship. They give, we give. They take, we take. So don't get it twisted. Wherever there are Jamaicans, life unfolds in a beautiful way. And so we can rest assured that, like one having the Midas touch, you will always need to have a good Jamaican sitting strongly in your corner. This is Sheri. We'll continue this conversation in the comments below. Talk to you soon. Ciao.